Welcome to Zenio Workforce. Paying extra for additional hours worked serves as a powerful incentive for employees to put in extra effort. In this video, we'll learn how to set up overtime pay for your employees. Setting overtime rules in your workplace helps make sure everyone follows the rules and keeps things running smoothly. To begin with, let's configure the overtime settings. Navigate to the Settings menu. Click the Timesheet drop-down and select Overtime Settings. Here, you'll find two levels for configuring overtime pay for your employees. The default level applies the same overtime rules to all employees, while the advanced level allows customization based on office locations. Let's first look into the default level setting. Here, you can configure overtime pay on a daily or weekly basis, or both. For weekly overtime, enable the toggle Weekly Overtime. Set the threshold by specifying the number of hours beyond which any work done in a week will be considered overtime and specify the additional payment rate. For instance, if you set the threshold at 40 hours and the overtime rate at 1.5, any hours worked beyond 40 hours a week will be compensated as overtime and paid at 1.5 times their usual hourly wage for those extra hours. If you prefer daily overtime payment, enable daily overtime and enter the threshold hours and additional rate. You can also set a double overtime threshold for employees who work even longer hours on separate days. For instance, if an employee works 14 hours in a day, the hours from 8 to 12 are paid at 1.5 times the normal rate. Any hours worked beyond 12 hours, in this case, the remaining 2 hours, are paid at double the normal rate. You may also enable both weekly and daily overtime settings. By enabling and configuring both weekly and daily overtime settings, you can effectively manage and compensate for overtime on a weekly and daily basis, ensuring all extra hours worked are properly paid. Check this box to enable overtime pay for working on the 7th day of the week. If you need to assign different overtime settings based on various office locations, select the Advanced option. Here, you can choose the desired office location and configure specific overtime settings for each. For this demonstration, I'll stick with the default option I have already set. Let's save the settings. However, to make overtime pay applicable for employees, we need to configure certain settings in their payroll details. Let me show you how to set these overtime conditions for an employee. Go to the employee's profile page to activate the option for overtime pay. Under Payroll tab, begin editing the employee payroll details by clicking on the Edit icon. To make this employee eligible for overtime pay, ensure you set a pay rate and select hour as the pay per option. The pay type should be set to hourly. And finally, change the overtime status to non-exempt. Once done, save the changes by clicking the Update button. Now that the overtime settings are applied to this employee, let's log in using their profile and submit a timesheet with overtime hours to see how it works. To enter the timesheet, click on Timesheet in the main menu. On the timesheet page, input the timesheet by clicking plus Add Time Entry. For Monday, I have entered 8 hours of work, which are within the regular work hours, so no overtime is applied. On Tuesday, I logged 10 hours, resulting in 2 hours of overtime. These are paid at an overtime rate of 1.5 times the regular pay. Wednesday and Thursday each have 8 hours logged, which are standard working hours, so no overtime applies here. For Friday, I have entered 14 hours. The first 8 are at regular pay, the next 4 hours are at 1.5 times the regular pay, and the final 2 hours, which are double overtime, are paid at twice the normal pay. On Saturday, I logged 10 hours, resulting in 2 hours of overtime, paid at 1.5 times the regular pay. Since we have overtime enabled for the 7th weekday, let me enter 8 hours for Sunday. Here, the entire duration will be compensated at 1.5 times the normal pay as overtime. Now that the timesheet is complete, it's ready for submission. After approval, the employee can enjoy the benefits of the overtime work hours. And that concludes our guide to configuring overtime pay in Zenio Workforce. Make sure you like, subscribe, and get notified so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Let us know if you have any queries. Thanks for watching.